On this episode of DC On Screen, we have seen Zack Snyder's Justice League. We're going to have a spoiler-free segment followed by a spoiler-filled segment. Right after these desperate pleas from a number of graceless, homicidal bastards vying for your crisp, coveted currencies.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I got myself on that one.
Did you get enough alliteration in there?
I love it.
Mm. And they're going to sell mattresses. That's what's going to happen.
Probably. Welcome into DC On Screen episode 631. This is the podcast where we talk about the DC Comics multiverse. It is a multiverse. Oh my god. Steppenwolf says it. On film and television, give honest opinions on projects upcoming and past, and believe that every version of a property is valid, even if we don't want it to be, and we totally want this to be. If it's been released, it is fair game. So beware of spoilers, unless otherwise noted. And welcome to the show. I'm David C. Robertson, and this, the man whose genitals inspired Steppenwolf's spiky, undulating armor, Jason Goss.
I have an appointment tomorrow. Did I tell you?
You're finally getting that scene about.
Mm-hmm.
That's good, man.
Yeah. We got to postpone some recordings.
Yeah. Well, you don't want... No. I was totally about to say a spoiler.
No, we wait on that. I don't care if it's relevant to a joke you were going to make now.
God. Well, it's so hard when it's relevant to a joke.
No.
I've seriously made like 3 spoiler-ish jokes around my wife regarding this movie. And she didn't get them because she was like, oh, no, it's dropping too late. I'm going to sleep. Mm-hmm. So...
Because she was a normal person, was like, oh, no, when? How long? No, honey, I got to sleep.
Yeah, no. But I mean, well, she's not totally normal. She's married to me, and she was also sleeping on the couch in the same room that it was on. So at some point she woke up. She's like, I'm having dreams about Superman and stuff. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, that's fair. Okay.
I'm like, I don't know.
So even that weirdo was like, yeah, I gotta go to bed. I'm going to go to bed here in the same room as the thing I'm going to bed from, but I gotta go to bed.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. But yeah, man, it's tough not to talk about it. It is. All right. So let's get down to this before we jump into the review. If you are listening to this show at all, thank you. Mm-hmm. So much, like honestly, but a very special thank you goes out to the patrons. You folks are absolutely instrumental to keeping this ship afloat.
Absolutely.
I almost made a Ship of Theseus joke, and I was like, nope, that was WandaVision. You're watching too many superhero things, Dave. If you'd like to join the patrons' hallowed ranks, $1 a month gets you every episode ad-free. $5 a month gets you that plus whatever else we decide to put up. And I know I've once again become lax in my Patreon offerings. I'll try to get back to that. By the way, I'm not suggesting we do it tonight, but at some point soon, we need to do a WandaVision conversation for our patrons, because Marvel reviews is part of what we promised.
It is.
By God.
It is. And that's a promise. Mm-hmm. And, I believe Winter and Falcon hit today, so, that's in the future too.
Yeah, it is in the future. Honestly, yesterday I watched Snyder Cut, and or the night before last, whatever it was, when it dropped, like early in the wee hours, I watched it and went to sleep immediately, and then woke up and I was gonna watch it again, but I was just like, I just need a minute because that was 4 hours. Damn. And my wife was like, hey, you want to go get Chinese food? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we just wound up watching The Middle, which is a fantastic, hilarious show. And I was just like, yes, I needed this. I needed this to just kind of come down.
Just be in a different place for a minute.
From Zack Snyder's Justice League, because it's so good and it's so earnest. And
I love how you're talking about that like it happened days ago. It was like 40 hours ago.
I know. But then, it wound up like the middle was like the last like 3 or 4 episodes that we watched. So like now I'm sitting there like stopping myself from crying because it's the last episode. And, people are going off to.
Yeah, sitcoms do that.
Yeah, but it was so good. It's so good. Such a good show. Freaking Neil Flynn, the guy that played the janitor on Scrubs. Oh my God, he's so good.
And that dude in The Fugitive.
Yep.
Some agent, something. He had a scene with Harrison Ford, bless him.
Yeah, he is in Scrubs canonically the janitor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway.
And in Scrubs, possibly canonically, the guy in The Fugitive. Anyway.
He is. But anyway, so yeah. If you don't want to deal with Patreon, or if you're like me and you're of a certain age, you don't understand it and it frightens you. Mm-hmm. Or if you already do help us out on Patreon and you want to help us out more, you can go to dconscreen.com and click the donate button. And finally, if you want to support the show and get some swag, you can check out our merch store linked on dconscreen.com. Right next to the donate button, it says store. If you're on mobile, it's on the drop down menu. And I just added some old 2016 Suicide Squad inspired designs that feature me and Jason as our Suicide Squad skull avatars. If you guys remember, back then they had like little skull avatar generator.
Oh yeah,
and
I do.
I did that for us, and then like I modified them heavily in Photoshop. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I have I found those on my computer. I was doing some design work this week, and found those and was like, I'm gonna put that up. But yeah, I did that, and I've put up a.
You'd have to modify me heavily to
get you in with your long hair.
Mm-hmm. I've got some straight Jesus hair going on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
that's about the right length and the color that's normally painted. Some of the men at work have referred to me as Chubby Jesus, and I was like, I'm not saying that's wrong.
Right.
I'm saying it's blasphemous. I'm not saying that pictorially that it's incorrect.
You're like the opposite of the Renaissance Jesus.
Yes. Yeah. No, that dude was straight cut. Especially if you look at most crucifixes. That dude had abs for days. I've got one.
I wish I had the money to commission James Taylor to write a song called Chubby Messiah for you.
I mean, Dylan's still alive. You could probably trick him. Even kind of old.
I doubt it. That guy's sharp, man.
He is a bit sharp, yeah.
He's like, you're just trying to give me a bad song for your
No, they used to trick James Taylor with like, hey, if you write us another hit, I'll give you more codeine. Maybe you could still do the same. I don't know.
Yeah, the frost is on the pumpkin.
I assume he's gotten past it.
Anyway,
I feel like at this point, my song would be like Death Cab for Cutie.
Oh God,
maybe Arcade Fire.
Maybe Arcade Fire I'd be okay with. Anyway, yeah, I've created a special Zack Snyder's Justice League inspired DC on screen logo. It's on our Twitter, it's on our Facebook as our avatar at this point, and it can now be purchased on a number of fine items. Nice. So, yeah, I'm down with all that. I think it's cool. I want one of those. I like that one a lot.
Well, would you like me to tell you where to get one?
I know where to get one.
Okay, good. Because that was a bluff. I didn't know.
Okay, I know you don't know.
I don't have any. I haven't done it.
All right, let's get to this spoiler-free segment of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I think it's fitting that we waste some time up front, being that Warner Brothers did.
For 4 years, yeah. All right, so I feel like this is the number one question I get.
Uh-huh.
Is it the same movie?
Yes and no.
Yeah, I would say the A plot is very similar. It contains a lot of the same scenes. Now they are a lot of them alternate takes, extended scenes.
They are roughly. Can I give you my rule of thumb?
Sure.
For is it the same scene kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
In 2017, if you thought a scene looked really cool, turns out for sure that was a Snyder scene, and you're just going to see it again now.
Albeit with better framing and
better framing and without any of the chicanery and fuckery that Whedon did just to say he had done something.
Oh, here's a good example. All right.
There are times where you're like, why would you just, it's the same scene. Why did you even alter it? So it's mine now. It feels like that's the answer sometimes.
That is what it, look, man. And here's a good example. Okay. So there's a scene in Justice League where we see Barry and primarily Bruce coming down off of a plane. Mm-hmm. And the camera is a worm's eye view from under Diana's legs, and you see her ass and her legs in really tight, form-fitting pants. It's total, like, gratuitous shot, like total, male gaze ass shot.
Yeah, it's an ass shot.
Snyder has the same shot, except she's not there. Like, it's like the side is literally the side of her head, man. It's like Whedon was like, hey, this is a pretty good scene, pretty good shot, but you know what? Let's spend $25,000 or whatever it is, push Bruce and Barry back, and have just like some stunt double stand in and be like, ass.
Yeah.
It's shit like that. There's a lot of shit like that.
What Jamie Presley refers to as TNA jobs.
Mm-hmm. So like you're gonna get some really cool shots that have been de-Whedonized. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have like a lack of Barry falling on top of Wonder Woman.
A complete lack of, frankly.
Yeah, it's not there.
It went from 100 to 0%.
Mm-hmm. I will say that there is a surprising amount of stuff that Snyder shot in the original version or in the theatrical version, but it plays completely different.
Yeah.
In most cases here.
Yeah.
Like surprisingly,
in
a lot of the
parlance,
humor.
It hits different.
Yeah. A lot of the humor is still there, but it lands differently this time because, they took out Whedon's ham-fisted reactions from, other characters,
Yeah.
Or it,
and honestly, it hits a lot better, frankly.
Absolutely. Like there are scenes.
It's interjected rather than forced.
Right. And another good example of that would be like the scene from the theatrical cut where, we were completely wrong about that, by the way. That was Snyder's. But, the color grading was different, so it didn't look horrible green screened. It just looked like he was getting into some water. It looked like Arthur was getting into some water. Was getting into some water outside of that tavern in Iceland. And so it didn't look horrible green screen. His eyes were the right color. And the reason his eyes were the right color in the theater was because they changed the color scheme so much. But
I watched that scene very carefully twice, frankly. Mm-hmm. And what I saw was like that scene by itself holds together, and it doesn't at any point look like a weird green screen shot. I feel like he maybe even just did I feel like he maybe even just zoomed in so much that it looked weird. I'm not sure, but I mean, I'd have to side by side it. But one, the dialogue was different. The joke about like you do it as a bat. You're crazy kind of thing was still there, and it still landed. But
it still was fine.
But it was more poignant because it was like, hey, what does he say about Superman? It was like, yeah, I forget what the setup is. And Bruce's response is like, yeah, he died fighting beside me. He's like, yeah, that's my point. And he bounces. It didn't have the extra line about what is that line?
In the theatrical version, there was a line where, well, in both versions,
strong man is strongest alone or some shit.
Arthur says strong man is strongest alone. Haven't you ever heard that? And it is. Yeah. That's not the way it goes down. That's not the way the line should be. In Joss's version, Bruce fumbles and says, like, that's the opposite of what it is.
Yeah.
In this version, as Batman would, in most instances, just stares at him, subtly reacts to the idiocy of that line, and then stays on point and says what he's got to say.
Yeah. He died fighting beside me, all that. And
Batman's
even
awkward
then, Aquaman
humor
has the moment where he's like, yeah, that's my point, and he bounces. But they don't. All right, first of all, it didn't look like a weird green screen back end weird that it looked odd. And 2, they don't give him this little like backsplash where he falls into the water. And I think that's maybe where the green screen came in. He's there. And then Bruce turns around to listen to this choir of Nordic people singing praises for the fish man. And he turns around and Aquaman's gone.
Yeah.
And that is how it should be. And it's not even like it's not with a splash. It's with a ripple.
Yes, I love that.
He's a fucking water manipulator, man.
Absolutely adored that. And I loved the Nordic people singing praises because that ties into the history, man. I mean, that shit's real life where they like worship freaking.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. It's such a better movie. I'm sorry. It is.
No, I mean, the spoiler alert for our review is going to be, and God, I don't think we've gone past the spoiler point so far, but
no,
because we're only talking about what wasn't there. I don't know. We're bordering already. We're in a gray area, but yeah, like the spoiler for us is going to be.
Well, as I understand it, justice is gray.
Yeah, that too. But it's an outright better movie. It's just an outright better movie.
It is in pretty much every conceivable way.
Even if you had cut this movie down to 2:14, still would have been a better movie.
Absolutely. But yeah, none of the weird, hokey, sometimes funny to me, awkward, jokey scenes with Batman are there. Like Whedon and Johns. I felt like maybe they were doing it to explain why Ben Affleck's not coming back. But they had so many jokes about how he was like old and like couldn't get around anymore, and you know something's definitely bleeding, and like he was such a like he was a joke. And here he is very much not a joke. He is very much not a joke in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Yeah.
No, I mean it took all of the gut out of Frank Miller's version, which was what was trying to be infused into Snyder's universe. Leave no doubt, that was his inspiration. Mm-hmm. They took all of the fucking impetus from him and just threw it out the window and said, hey, old Batman, that's funny.
Yeah.
Like those few jokes from Batman Beyond where we're talking about him grasping for his pills. Like, yeah, that's where we're going to lean on now. Yeah.
That was never even a joke in Batman Beyond. That was...
No, in the pilot, that's horrendous. A big deal, but...
Even in like, I'm not gonna say where it's from, but epilogue, you know what that is.
I do. Yeah, I remember that.
That's not a funny scene. I wept.
Yeah.
Anyway, is it a different film? Absolutely, very different experience as far as the plot itself being similar. It is a hey, let's come together and stop the invasion thing. Mm-hmm. And it happens very much in the same way. But Steppenwolf is an actual character here. All of that creepy stuff where he's longing for mother, that's gone. None of that shit's there. Like him questioning people, that's gone. He just like has like a little spider tendril thing come up and sit on their face and tells them everything he needs to know. Bullshit. We're not asking people. I mean,
would it be this spoiler for me to point out where I thought that spider came from?
I mean, it's conjecture. I don't know that it's spoiler.
Dude, that feels like a Starro spider.
It does feel like that, doesn't it?
Right? I
mean, it was clearly like made. It looked like it was made of his suit,
has his armor. Eye thing.
I think it was a reference, but I don't think it was Starro.
I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was. But what it made me think of is, have you've seen the online conjecture about the Suicide Squad as well? Like, it made you wonder.
Yeah, it did.
And yeah, little purple starish, not one extra leg, sure, but little purple starish thing controlling your thoughts is I'm gonna come to a certain area with that, especially when it's got that little logo in the center with it had a very Starro feel to it.
It did. But yeah, I would say Steppenwolf is a very fleshed out character here. His motivations are wholly different than they were in the Justice League rendition. Cyborg is completely
an entirely different story for him.
No joke, no pun intended. Even though Cyborg is completely fleshed out. And Ray Fisher does a fantastic job. He kills it here.
No, the two major wins for me were Cyborg, Ray Fisher, and Ezra Miller, Flash.
Flash, my God, dude. What a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Ton of his humor is still there, but now somehow like it's not goofy.
It hits better, does it not? I mean, I don't know how to describe that.
He's one of us. He's a nerd.
It was a better joke.
Heart. He's got heart and purpose, and my God, and I'll talk about it later in the spoiler, but there's so much there that's like just subtle and brilliant and sets up so much.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of the humor that revolved around the Flash in this film is the equivalent of like someone explaining a joke to you that doesn't do it correctly, and then you hearing the actual joke later.
Yeah, that's fair.
That for me, that's the difference in a lot of where those punchlines hit.
Wonder Woman is more brutal. Dude, she is a warrior here.
Oh,
like she is the panel from like New 52 where Diana says, "There's a reason I don't have a rogues gallery as long as Bruce's or Clark's, just because when I deal with them, I deal with them." You're like, damn.
Yeah.
Like they're.
No, she is
I'll say that comment
she is
for later.
A bad girl in this thing, and I fucking loved it.
Yeah, total badass. Loved it. No Superman CG mustache whatsoever. Superman,
not even
fully fleshed out here. Loved it. Loved him. And I don't feel like there's any way to talk about him anymore without spoilers.
Yeah,
but
I really wanted to say a minute ago or just a second ago when you were talking about Wonder Woman, I was like, oh, dude. Like when she fucking stabs the Anti-Monitor in the heart. God,
that's not
that is
real.
one of the best scenes in this movie. And then Supergirl sweeps in to saves him for a second, and God, it's a good scene.
You know, you joke, but I think there are people out there that thought that shit was going to happen.
Yeah, yeah, it's probably real.
But Aquaman, still Aquaman.
Oh yeah,
no, less stupid stupid. Let me grunt about how hot Wonder Woman is.
So I sat down. All right, so the upstairs television is 4K, and my monitor is it's decent size, but it's HD. And I thought, hey man, I would really like to watch this in 4K. So I kind of made it a point to watch it upstairs, and it looked fantastic. I kind of wish I had better speakers, but that's a problem for another day. I have great speakers on the actual album player, like the phonograph, but not on the TV itself. Hey,
yeah.
Again, problem for another day. But I was gonna play it upstairs, and the wife was like, "Well, can I like watch it with you?" Because I literally just took a day off work to watch this thing, and coincidentally, the wife had a migraine, and it was like 11 o'clock before I could really sit down to watch it. So she had kind of called out with a migraine, and she was happy to sit down and just give it a shot for a second.
Yeah.
And like 4 hours later, with some pauses, like she made it through all but about 30 minutes of this movie and was pretty pumped about it. Now, two moments stand out to me with watching it with the wife. One is there's a moment where I saw him at some point and was like, I don't think a costume designer had anything to do with what Momoa is wearing right now. I think Jason Momoa showed up on set and they were like, cool, as you were. Somewhere around that like table conversation that we've seen in the trailers, it was like, yeah, that's just what he looks like. And the second moment was at some point she was like, so is Hot Superman going to show up? And I was like, okay, first of all, yes. And second of all, are there not enough snacks on film right now? Momoa's been shirtless for half of this. I mean, Ben Affleck's he's not unpretty. Like, what part of it? Like Ray Fisher and Ezra Miller are their own kind, but they're both attractive people with them. So like, what do you want, man? Like,
yeah. Hell, even Gal Gadot for straight women is just...
That's still just a really pretty person.
I mean... Yeah. I don't know. I can't help her.
Yeah. I was like, do you not have enough on your plate right now? And she kind of laughed and was like, okay. I was like, just give it like 20 minutes.
So your wife liked it though?
Oh yeah. No, she absolutely sat down of her own volition and watched this thing for 3.5 hours. And the only thing that stopped her was, we had childcare for the most of the day. And then, Evelyn, was dropped off around, we had about 30 minutes left in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, she would have absolutely sat here and watched the rest of this movie with me.
That's impressive because your wife is not a superhero fan.
No, she is not a nerd. Like, not in our ways. In her own ways, sure, but not our ways. Like, she would have absolutely bailed on this. And as she pointed out, it wasn't just like, oh, he's cute the entire time. She was actually watching the story.
Well, that's great. So the movie adds a lot of setup to future characters and films that at this point may never happen. Here's hoping, though.
Yep.
It is really nice to see that stuff. What did you think of Junkie XL's music? Better
Loved
than
it.
Danny Elfman's?
Yep.
It felt more apropos, I'll say.
It did.
As a Danny Elfman fan who realizes that he was a dick about the Justice League score and the Batman theme specifically, I will say this felt better.
It did feel better. There was one moment though, and God, I would love to have asked Snyder about this, but I was a huge fan of the Come Together cover.
Mm-hmm.
There's a moment around the same time as when that cover showed up in the original, the 2017 version.
Mm-hmm.
That, dear God, I would swear it's just sampled.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if it's covered. It sounds like it's almost just sampled from that version.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it sounds like such a callback to it that, shit. I want to ask someone. I don't know if that information is out there yet.
I don't know.
But dear God.
I'll tell you this. I was out of town and I was heading home the night that it dropped. And as I'm driving, we were having terrible, terrible weather.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And
I was happy I could even watch this damn thing after all that transpired on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I was actually worried that I was going to make it home.
Yeah.
That's how bad it got. And I was driving from Montgomery to Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to about Verbena, and it got so bad I had to pull off underneath an underpass.
That's how Alabama does.
I was literally afraid for my life a few times. And it let up, and I drove down the road to Clanton and hit the Loves and just kind of hunkered there for about 30 minutes.
Right.
But, and it was sad too, man. I'm sitting there in a Loves watching Kevin Smith's red carpet premiere for Zack Snyder's Justice League on my phone.
Yep.
But yeah, so I got in the car. When I initially got in the car and left to go, I knew that the weather was getting bad. The lightning was just nonstop, and I was like, I'm gonna turn on the radio to get some weather going in here because my phone wasn't acting right.
Mm-hmm.
And I turn on my radio, and the first thing is Come Together playing by Aerosmith, this version.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's kind of funny. I'm going home to watch Justice League. All right. Well, and then, as the storm lifts and I leave that underpass to go find the Loves, I'm flipping through the stations, and there it is again.
And dear God, I can think of 5 versions, and I think that's my least favorite.
Yeah, and it was that version again. And I was like,
Beals,
okay.
Gary Clark Jr., Robin Williams.
And it was not lost
Chris
to me.
Cornell, Soundgarden, and Aerosmith. I think that's my order.
And when I left Loves about 20 or 30 minutes afterward, I was flipping through the stations and it was playing again. And I thought, this is a bad omen.
And you're listening to that and you're like, John Lennon's going to be shot. Wait.
I was like, I don't know if the movie's going to be bad, if the reception's going to be bad. I don't know if I'm going to die tonight and never going to be able to see it. And this is the last lingering remembrance of Justice League I'll have, is this damn song plaguing me on my way through storm-torn Alabama.
Oh, yeah. And Alabama, we're like, it's 72 in March and too rainy.
But luckily I got home, got a shower.
Might be a cyclone ahead.
Got some food. Thought it was dropping earlier than it was, and then realized I was an idiot. And watched The Last Blockbuster.
Oh, nice.
It's a fun documentary. And then watched Zack Snyder's Justice League. So
I woke up at like 4 that morning, and no joke, I had a series of dreams about, and God, I'm not kidding, watching this movie and where I would like to watch this movie. And because of, Dream Logic, had like a series of, like a whole map of the house that doesn't actually exist, dictating like where I would like to watch this movie. And at some point I remember like trying to cross a tiny drawbridge with a river in between, and like there's an Eddie Murphy head that for some reason there was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm going to watch this movie. And he was like, okay. And he just dropped down again. I don't know what the fuck that was. I kept going over the drawbridge, and I went into the room that I was going to watch in. And like, that's where I was with this film. And I woke up about 4 o'clock, and I normally don't look at my phone because vaguely one time I saw some study that said, like, if you look at your phone, it sets off some series of things in your brain and you don't produce melatonin anymore, and that might wake you up. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Because, waking up at 3 a.m, I tend to stay awake too long if I just, like, scroll Reddit or some shit. So, I just try not to look at my phone if I don't have to in the middle of the night.
Right.
But I remember looking at it long enough that I was like, let me just check. I went to HBO Max real quick on the app and just checked and just hit play, and it said 4 hours. And I was like, okay, cool. And I just closed the whole thing and went back to sleep. So just making sure it was real. I want to make sure this reality is the real.
I have to admit, I was a little concerned. I was a little worried I was going to hit play and it was going to be like the title card and then 4 hours of Walter Hamada dancing and rickrolling me.
Oh, dude, there's that. And I joked with you about this, but for sure, if we had had time, I would love to have done this. I wanted to record an episode where, like, for like 5 minutes, you and I just bullshitted about what was in the Snyder cut. And then at like the 4 minute mark or whatever, just like with like a weird radio edit, just like a, kind of weird sound. And we're in a new space now. And me and you just did like 30 minutes about the Tom and Jerry movie.
Oh, yeah. Man, and I told you, and I'll say it here. And I wanted
to just like release it on the timeline and, come what may.
Yeah, no, this shit's too touchy for people.
Yeah.
Now is not the time.
I think you said like, they be raw, man.
I did. I said, they be raw, man.
I was like, okay, I feel that. Also, we don't have time, but I would love to do it.
Yep. Do you have any other spoiler-free thoughts?
No, let's transfer.
Acting is great. If you haven't seen it, watch it immediately.
It's generally great. I mean, like there's not like a low point where no, it's fantastic. Mm-hmm. That's the spoiler-free version. It's fantastic. Watch it.
It is. All right, so we're gonna jump to break, and when we come back, spoiler-filled, my friends, spoiler-filled conversation and feedback from the listeners. Questions from the listeners about Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's going to be fun.
Cream-filled donut of spoilers and listener questions.
All right, we are back. And what would you say is like the thing that excited you the most that you didn't know was in this movie going in? That when you saw it, you were just like, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, oh my Lord, what the hell just happened? Oh my God. Like, well, structurally, all the gods' names in vain.
Yeah. Structurally, a lot of it holds together. It has the same backbone of the Justice League movie that, he originally shot. Like, fundamentally, like, shit, man, those stingers at the end are the part that really blew me away. Like, in the sense that I was like, Jesus, man, how did you see this and not let this guy continue this? But shit, other than that, maybe Martian.
Okay. Well, see, I would say I'd seen enough, I guess, about the stuff at the end with Nightmare Timeline and in Martian.
I stayed mostly out of those spoilers, so I was able to actually experience them. I say that. Even the last trailer had Martha with, red eyes, and I was like, I know where that's going.
Right. The thing that shook the absolute shit out of me was Cyborg's nightmare experience, where he's basically the computer is like the Kryptonian ship is begging him not to ignite the mother box and bring Superman back.
And they have like a miscommunication, and Barry does it anyway.
Yeah, he goes no, and he's like, "What's that go?"
Yeah.
But the thing that shook me though was his nightmare sequence where we see like the shot that got me was Wonder Woman on the funeral pyre with the coins on her eyes, dude. Oh my God.
That's actually a fun moment to mention family-wise. That was a moment where my wife was like playing Candy Crush or whatever the fuck version. And she was watching, but she was also kind of like playing on her phone. And that happened. And she looked up and what the fuck just happened? And like sat up on the couch. I was like, well, that's what's called a nightmare scene. And get ready for it later. But I don't know where this goes. I just know that's bad.
Dude, all the shots of like Darkseid just killing the shit out of Justice League members. And
actually, you know what? To answer your question, the most, it's not the most what the fuck, I guess. It's the most like, Jesus Christ, how was this not included kind of thing. Was, dude, that first fight, the Age of Heroes before.
Yes.
Holy
Zeus
fucking
and
shit.
Freaking
Zeus and Ares fighting together.
Oh, that was so good.
Oh, it was amazing.
That was so good.
That was early enough in the film that like I think that was the first moment my wife looked up and was like, "Who the fuck is that?" And I was like, "That is literally Zeus." And don't let him fool you. He's going to try to fuck you as a swan. That's how he do.
Look, that scene was cool enough that look, man, I was at an Ollie's, like, discount place, whatever.
Yeah.
And they had a $5 Steve Trevor action figure from the Mattel DC Multiverse action figure line. And he came with a segment of Ares. It was a Build-A-Figure.
Yeah.
I have no interest in getting the rest of those figures, except I want to get that Ares figure now. Like, he is like an 8-inch figure. He looks dope as shit.
I mean, dude, on screen, dude is 10.5 foot tall.
Yeah.
Every bit a god. Like,
yeah.
And I know his one thing in that fight. I know on screen in that fight, his one thing is like the lightning bolt. But fucking, it's Zeus's goddamn lightning bolt.
Yes.
Are you fucking kidding me? That is the epitome of God striking you down. Are you fucking kidding?
Yeah, dude. Like,
of course, Darkseid was like, I don't know what to do with that. And then on top of that, Ares, the fucking god of war, the guy who's more empowered by the fact that you're even invading us right now.
And Artemis.
Yeah. Oh, fucking Artemis. Yeah, too. I forgot about her for a second. Yeah.
Like those glowing forearms. I was just like, shit.
Fucking hell.
So good.
It was badass as shit.
And it makes so much more sense seeing that. Because, like, I remember thinking, like, well, I guess the Amazons got some magic shit going on, whatever. Because, like, in the theatrical version, I think it was just, like, an Amazon lady who shot, like, a normal arrow and, like, felled that apocalyptian warship.
Oh, yeah.
And this time it was like, no, sweetie.
No.
That was a god.
Fucking the goddess of arrows.
Oh, that makes more sense.
The goddess of projectiles.
Thanks, Zack.
Yeah.
And so that was dope.
By the way, all the Greek gods aside, fucking Green Lantern.
Yes. Green Lantern. We saw the hand get chopped off. We saw the freaking ring fly up.
And
I went to go grab it and it flew away.
The brutality of the scene where he, like, Darkseid just, or not even Darkseid, it's like, looks like Euxus or Euxus.
Yeah, Uxus, I think.
At the time, it's
Uxus. It's pre-Darkseid.
Just has like he understands PowerPoints. He just saw it and yeah, okay, I understand where that weapon's come from. Hand off, cool, and axe to the fucking chest and deal with it.
Yeah, man.
And then like the ring tries to float for a second, he tries to grab it and he fucking can't. Like, oh god, it's so good. And
so good.
Fucking one of the things that I wish there was more time. I know they tried to align it. I know they tried to align the stars to make it happen, but to see where that lantern ring landed later. Oh god.
Well, I mean, we don't know that it was that lantern ring. That it wouldn't have been that lantern ring because that was like
not
thousands of years ago.
Yeah, no, I mean not necessarily at all.
Every time I say thousands of years ago, I see that little Aqua Teen Hunger Force robot that goes thousands of years ago.
What is that fucking chicken?
Oh, that's the witch doctor you're talking about. There was the robot that eventually came back as a robot turkey, but he was from the future and he kept talking about like Santa's elves and all sorts of thousands of years ago.
What is the Ouija chicken episode quote that I keep thinking of over and over again?
You're talking about the witch doctor who they brought in to like do whatever. I don't remember, but
there's a Ouija chicken. I think that's the name of that episode. I can't remember right now.
Yeah, but he does. The witch doctor has a chicken. He's like, arise, chicken, arise.
There you go.
He's got the little rattle.
And that was going to kill me.
Arise, chicken.
Arise, chicken. Chicken, arise.
Chicken, arise.
Sorry, that was going to kill me.
Arise, chicken.
Me and Michael Shackelford, the guy who wrote the interstitials for any episodes you've heard for several episodes
Months,
now.
Probably. Yeah.
He and I have a very deep love for weird moments like that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I do too, actually.
Chicken arise.
Yeah. That was like one of the things we bonded over, you and I, is like, I would just like, I think I made some offhand Aqua Teen Hunger Force joke and you were like, I know that.
I know that reference.
Like, you too. Adult swim aficionado.
You've also traveled down this deep realm. Yes, I did. Did you also know that you could hollow out a Black and Mild and turn it into a blunt?
I did know that.
Because those are relevant facts
for
the conversation we are currently having. I got so high, my roommates were high. They were in, as the term would indicate, different rooms.
Yeah, I've dealt with that.
It did happen. It was fun.
So
where do we start with Justice
I
League?
I don't know.
We got a little off. We got a little off there.
We were talking about Darkseid. We were talking about the gods.
I don't know if we were talking about Darkseid exactly. I'll tell you this though. Also, Darkseid, not a ton of presents for all the DC Comics t-shirts would have let you believe.
I don't know, man. Personally, I thought he was quite a gift.
Oh, he's a gift. Yeah.
Not a lot of presents. Quite a gift. Presents, gift. You see what I did?
Un regalo. Yeah. But he limited screen time.
Yeah, but I watched that Zack Snyder's director's cuts thing he did in Pasadena, so I knew that he wasn't going to be in it a ton.
Yeah. It was enough, though, that... All right. The biggest thing was, one, it justified Steppenwolf's actions throughout the movie.
Oh, dude,
You're thinking about
I
that
felt
head
bad
right
for that guy.
You're thinking about that head.
No, I'm thinking about the thing that choked me up was Steppenwolf.
Really? Okay.
He choked me up, dude. I felt bad for him. He was a dick and a bad guy, but his motivations were so freaking relatable. Like, he just wanted to go home, man. He just wanted to go home. I'm serious. And they did a great job. They killed me. There's a scene where he's talking to Desaad, and he says something about going home.
Yeah.
And Desaad tells him, after your betrayal, you owe Darkseid 50,000 more worlds before you can hold court with him or whatever.
Yeah.
And they did this, like, I don't know if they were mirroring Ciarán Hinds' face or what, but they pulled it off, man. Like, Steppenwolf's eyes and the way his mouth twitched. It looked like he was about to cry, dude. It did. It looked like he was just swallowing it, man. Just swallowing
the
fact that he was never going to be able to come home.
To me, it hits the same note as one of the reasons like Lucifer is a character or a mythology or a religious figure or reality, however you conceive of this person or this idea. One of the reasons I like him, and one of the reasons they played with, like in the Tom Ellis version, is you give all these humans second chances. I made one mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I made one fucking mistake. It was a big one, but I'm banished for eternity with no way out.
Yeah.
And I just, theologically, I think that's a really interesting argument to make.
Yeah.
I think
certainly wasn't Dogma.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of Ben Affleck's best speeches, honestly.
Yeah, it really was. God, man. We didn't think so much of him when we were young, right? Like when we were in our teens, Ben Affleck was a joke.
No, I mean, my introduction to Ben Affleck was Mallrats, and his character was a total joke. But then, like, the same night I watched Chasing Amy, and he had that great speech about,
in the car.
Yeah. So, like, the night that I knew who Ben Affleck was the night I was like, shit, this dude's got chops.
This cat's got something.
Like, between that and then, like, I don't know, a couple months later, I saw Boiler Room or whenever the hell that came out, and I was shit. Like, he basically did the Alec Baldwin, Glengarry Glen Ross speech, but for Boiler Room. Completely different, but it was like that kind of feeling to it. So no, I know the guy's got chops.
He does, and he has had for a long time. I feel like we all as viewers had to break out of that to give him that option.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how pigeonholing works, you know.
Well, I don't like typecasting and all that shit anyway. So
I know.
I've always kind of fought against it. And when you allow yourself to, like, not get attached to an actor as a certain type, you get to enjoy things like The Truman Show and The Majestic, where you could just go, holy shit. Or, by the way, my favorite Jim Carrey movie is The Cable Guy. And I know that's not a popular opinion, but he killed it.
He did. The Majestic was the one where, like, he actually made me cry, and I was like, oh shit, we have a whole different thing we have to deal with now.
Dude, I cried in The Cable Guy.
That one was weird. I was young. I saw it in theaters. I kind of thought it was going to be like another Ace Ventura movie. I was deeply misled by the trailers.
People were disappointed that it wasn't what they wanted, but it was a different kind of movie. It was deeply disturbing, and apparently it was supposed to be more so.
Yeah, I believe it. It went a very different direction. I was not expecting it. Didn't have the wherewithal to process it at the time. Yeah, it hit me very different than it does now.
Yeah. So, what else? Yeah, that head, man. Shit. Like the joke I was going to make earlier is like, you don't want Superman to break your dick off like he did Steppenwolf's horn.
Mm-hmm. Dear God.
Dude, like that scene. Like,
okay. All right.
Superman did not come back the same.
We just go straight down to the beating?
I mean, sure. He did not come back the same, though. That was a Batman beating. That was not Superman. And I think that's the point.
You say that, but hold on.
I think that's the point.
Hold on. I don't think that was not a Superman beating. I think that was a Superman beating. Like in the same way that like in...
You don't think it was a Batman beating is what you were saying?
No, Superman.
What I said, I don't think that's a Superman beating. I think that's a Superman beating is what you just said.
Sorry. I think that's not a Superman beating. I think that is a Superman beating. So, all those double negatives aside, I think that's exactly a Superman beating. Like, dude, he pulls his punches. He has had to the entire time. Like, it's one of my favorite lines from the entire animated universe is him talking to Darkseid about, like, you know, I felt like I live in a world made of cardboard.
Yeah.
I always have. What does he say? You probably remember it better.
I don't. I remember the scene, but I don't remember.
I'm going to paraphrase
exactly the scene.
I feel like I
remember the scene. I don't remember the
world
line.
made of cardboard. I always have to pull my punches. Or no, I can never let loose, but you can take it, can't you, big guy? This felt like that scene to me. Like, honestly, in 4 hours, one of the moments that, like, I felt like I wanted to weep. I was so happy with it. Was just Steppenwolf drops the axe and Superman is suddenly there and he just feels it on his shoulder and says, "Not impressed."
Yep.
That is one of the fucking. That is one of my favorite things I've ever seen on screen, barring none. That is amazing. And then just looks over to the axe and whispers at it almost with the cold breath.
Yep.
Pops it with his fist. Like, it just never even occurred to him that this would be an issue. Oh God.
If anyone out there listening to this knows Jeff Johns, please let him know that after seeing that exact shot of the axe hitting him and him saying not impressed and freezing it, my list of favorite Superman moments has been updated.
Yeah. If, for instance, you're Jeff Johns and thought that Superman was being bastardized, first of all, I want you to watch Man of Steel. And second, I would like you to watch this scene. And if at that point, and I realize that I'm saying it's Jeff Johns, and I understand, dear God, man, I think he's a toxic motherfucker on set and apparently a terrible human being, but a good writer.
Sometimes.
All that being
now
considered,
I'm questioning that. Like, looking back at some stuff, I'm going, I don't know.
I think he's a better writer on page for comics by far than he is a writer for on screen.
I will agree with that. No, but yeah, I said that because, Jeff Johns said for the theatrical version, prepare to update your list of favorite Superman moments on screen. I didn't update my list at all for 2017's Justice League.
Yeah.
No, there was I saw CGI lip, ham-fisted thing. I mean, sure, it was Superman of some sort. Yes. Okay. Like, I get it, but yeah, no, this movie,
it wasn't the same.
Shit.
Shit. That scene alone, I feel like I could talk for a while about how badass that is, but that explains itself. Also, like, the rewrites. What did they do, really? They just put Superman up front.
Mm-hmm.
And then really didn't give a good mechanism for why it's up front. Like, this film, as a 4-hour film, basically put him in the last half. And it made sense. They gave enough breath for the rest of the characters to be there.
Mm-hmm.
It made sense for all of that space to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone got their moment to explain themselves. And then after all of that was done, they explained why they needed Superman and what sacrifices were required to make that happen. And they did it. And yeah, when he came back, there were moments that were the same scenes. But like I said, the guideline I feel like for this movie was like, yeah, if you felt like you remember a really cool scene from 2017, yeah, it was Snyder's.
Yeah. Did you, when he's walking through the Kryptonian ship to get and the costumes come out?
Oh, yeah.
Did you notice
I even loved Flash walking through and being like, yep, he knows we're here. It knows he's here.
Yeah. Did you notice, though, the first suit that came out looked like an ancient, like, bony-looking female costume?
Mm-hmm.
Freaking Kara Zor-El, dude.
Yeah.
Like, the life pod that was opened in Man of Steel. Like, dude, David Goyer put out a freaking comic about Kara Zor-El, like, breaking out of that shit in that universe, in Zack Snyder's universe, breaking out of that pod and being in, like, ancient times Earth.
Yep.
Like prehistoric Earth.
Yeah. There's no reason to think that's not current at this point. Of all the things that kind of hurt me a little bit watching it, when he walks past the blue and reds, that hurt a little bit.
He's not there yet, man.
I know. I get the character progression part. I'm good with it. I get why Man of Steel is different. I enjoyed the fuck out of seeing him in the black and whites, but just watching him walk past that uniform and being like, no, that's not me right now. It hurt a little bit, but I felt like it hurt a little bit in the way that I was supposed to be hurting as a viewer, not in a way that I was like betrayed as a viewer.
Right. And that's the big difference. I think you were supposed to hurt from that a little bit. He looked hurt.
Yeah. Just didn't feel right for him right then.
So
I get it. I got like 6 guitars up there, and I feel like every time I pick one of them up, the rest of them look at me.
How dare you? So let's see, man. I loved. For people like me, and especially for people like Scott over on Squadcast, and friggin' whoever else, Stephen Colbert. All those cats, they like to follow Zack on Vero. I don't do it as much as they do, but I keep up. I try to keep up. So we already knew that Ryan Choi was in this thing.
Yeah.
How much did you love that he was like the lead scientist on nanotechnology?
Oh, fuck yeah. Like when they give him the little ID and he's like, yep, that's my thing.
And for those of you who don't know, he's the atom. He's the atom that precedes.
This cracked me up. This is one of the moments where
Ray Palmer.
Yeah, he did all that, and watching it, the wife was like, "Is that what's going on with him?" And it was before the nanotech thing, and like, so what's going on with that guy? And I was like, "You don't. I don't have enough time." It's meaningful. What you're saying is meaningful. We just don't have to go into everything.
Yeah, man. Like there was so much in this thing. Like the freaking Kryptonian ship says the future has taken root in the present. That's from Excalibur, dude. Like Merlin said that shit. Like such good stuff in this movie, man. It really I can't even believe it. I really can't. I cannot believe it even exists. We had a guy over on YouTube. I don't remember what his name was, but he said something about like he commented on one of our episodes. We were talking about the initial picture, the placeholder picture that Zack did for BVS, where Wonder Woman is holding the heads of her enemies or whatever.
Mm-hmm. The Crimean.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, it's not the Crimean War." Mm-hmm. And he was like, "My Wonder Woman doesn't behead people. This one does."
Oh the hell! Oh the hell, you say?
Yeah, he was like, "That's too far for me." Not for Zack.
No, straight up, that was one of the badass moments of this fucking movie. All right, the beatdown Superman gave him was something. I mean, just fucking lasering off that one horn and him having to just deal with just imagine a being of his kind having to deal with someone on a foreign land, one of 50,000 that he was supposed to take over. Like, these were supposed to be he wasn't supposed to run into this. I say that. He also mentions earlier in the film there are no protectors, no lanterns, no
Kryptonians. Yeah.
And then the Kryptonian comes back, and all the protectors are back. And this inane little ball of mud that you were supposed to take over is suddenly fucking something. And then you have to report that back. And Desaad is like, well, I don't know if you need to talk to my supervisor yet. I feel like you need to kick this out to HR and maybe you do some stuff for yourself and document it, and then we can maybe kick it up to, management. But imagine all that. Oh, dear God. After all of that, to just have your horn cut off after getting your face bit in by some dude you were not expecting to run across. And then you're like licking your own blood off your horn, and then that same group, Aquaman, by the way, just tridents you in the fucking heart and just shovels you off. Superman gives you another punch. And then on your way out, Wonder Woman just is like, I've got an extra idea. Lops the head right off, and just in time for you to probably still understand what's happening to you, Darkseid just crunches your head under his foot.
Mm-hmm.
Dear fucking God. And then, by the way, doesn't give any deference to you. Like, your last thought as you're a crunched head on the floor isn't, oh, my lord finally recognized me. It's, my lord didn't even care that I was here. Not that I was dead under his foot. Nothing. No one gave a fuck.
No, it's rough, man. It's rough.
And of all things, my favorite part of that scene is that Darkseid, like, effectively just stomps on his head and tries to, like, fucking mug mouth the entire portal. And basically the entire Justice League just shows up and says, like, yo, what's up, bitch?
Mm-hmm.
Come at me. We'll be here.
Yep.
And, like, Flash shows back up just in time. Like, I love that. I just love that Batman, of all people, is standing there like, yep, I got this. You don't. You don't got this. It came after you by yourself. I'm sorry, buddy. You're going down.
Yeah. No.
All together? Yeah. You got this.
I love that they lost.
Oh, yeah.
And if it weren't for Barry, they would all be dead.
Oh, fucking Barry. Yeah.
Like, that dude ran back. Oh, my God. He ran backwards in time.
They gave him a really good speech, too.
Yes. All of that. Like, I want you to know I was one of the best of the best or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, dude.
Make your own present. Make your future. Make your past.
Yeah. I can, like, the future is mine. The past is mine. Like, shit.
That was fantastic. Him and Billy crowed up. Oh, shit.
All of that's so good.
Yeah. We could go on for Flash for a bit. And why not? Why not go for it? Yeah, like the meetings with his dad.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of those things that was a shot we saw in the trailers. It was everything. But oh my God, the relevancy of just his dad trying to talk him out of what are you doing? And fucking the poignancy of just when his dad tells him, don't ever do this for me. And he tells him, like, don't ever say it to me again.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking felt the fuck out of that moment.
Yeah.
It was so good. And then later when he slaps the thing up and he's got a real job and, you know, dad's about to go to solitary for a couple days because he's too excited. And in the whatever the fuck you call that area where you have conversation.
Yeah.
Just cute as hell. Cute as absolute fuck. They had a fantastic relationship all throughout.
Yeah. Speaking of fantastic relationships, dude, I loved Alfred so much.
Oh shit, yeah.
And yeah, there's not. I like the scene. I do like the scene from Justice League where he says something about, you know, I don't recognize this world anymore, and I also like the scene. I mean, you know, it's Jeremy Irons, so of course
he's going to sell whatever.
But I like the line about, you know, this is a far cry from, you know, plastic wind-up penguins or exploding wind-up penguins or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
I didn't miss it here though. I like that line from I always want to call it the original, but this is the original.
Yeah, the terminology is.
But
I don't think there's anything historically to represent what's happened here. We're all walking on new ground.
But look, you know, I loved everything between Alfred and Bruce here. Yeah. Loved everything between Alfred and Diana, though.
Oh, the tea thing?
The tea thing was fantastic. The tea thing
was really good. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I love the dynamic here between Diana and Bruce a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is clear that something is happening. And look, you know, this movie is like the second time she jumped out to save him. Like, if it wasn't for her, he would be dead with them, like, flittering around, accidentally touching each other's hand. I'm going to guess she's on that pyre having saved his life.
Possible. Part of me likes to think, you remember the Justice League animated scene where, like, Bruce is talking about how fantastic she is and suddenly
but he respects her he respects her as a colleague and blah blah blah. She's beautiful and intelligent, and I respect her as a colleague, and she's standing right behind me, isn't she?
Yeah. I feel like that scene is maybe canon now.
Yeah.
And it tracks. I mean, they have a little bit going on, but it's not. It could be a little bit of weirdness and just throwaway, or it could be something they build on. If there was another movie coming altogether, I might take a bet, but we don't know that anything will ever come of this, so I might as well not.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Dude, Cyborg, everything with his family, man.
Oh, fuck yeah.
When Silas kills himself, that was rough. That was
bad.
And then he wasn't even trying to destroy the mother box. He wasn't even trying.
It was self-sacrifice for something. But dear God, man, I forget that guy's name, and that's on me. I looked it up. Last night.
His real name?
Yeah,
Joe Morton.
Thank you. I fucking love that actor. Every time I see him, he knocks it out of the fucking park.
Mm-hmm. We just talked about this on the Justice League commentary.
I know. That guy. I don't know what I could give him that I wouldn't think he could handle.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's fantastic. And this, I'm not disillusioned of that idea after watching this. Like, I adore the bookend of fucking everything with that little tape player.
Mm-hmm. That was all good.
Oh, fucking the tape player. Like, if I can speak from the heart, go fuck yourself. And crushes it. Rebuilds it later because he's fucking Cyborg. He's way more powerful than even this film lets on.
Which, by the way, the little origin story with him helping the waitress.
Oh, so good.
Fantastic.
So fucking good. Just growing the money visually and just the idea that while he's walking him through the idea that, hey, look, you're now the master of the cyber world. Like you dictate how things go. Oh God, I know it seems a little cliche, but even that graphic of literally a bear and a bull wrestling.
Cachet or cliche?
Both.
Okay.
I've heard the term used both ways, and both. But of a bear and a bull wrestling, and Cyborg just parts his hands, and they go to the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
Just the entire stock market is just whatever.
Yeah. Did you happen to see the I can't remember her name. The actress who played the waitress tweeted out and said, "I was cut from the movie before. Can anyone tell me if I'm in this version? I played a waitress that Cyborg helps." And everyone was just like, "Oh my God, you were fantastic. You were in this thing."
And she did a great job.
She did.
It was a really fun, it was a very rewarding scene. Yeah, and that whole montage of the tape playing of his dad talking and what you're capable of now was just fucking incredible. Like, the idea that Warner Brothers sat on that is just, I can fathom how it happened, but
and to be fair,
short of fathomability, go fuck yourself.
Having watched it with, there being a certain amount of, hubris on my part, I was sitting here going, okay, I could edit that out. I could edit this out. Mostly just, really long establishing shots or something. I think he may have gotten it down to, 3.5 hours. I don't want him to. This is his vision. This is what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, there was no call for what they did.
No.
Even this movie is lighter than BVS. It was funnier than BVS.
By a long shot.
BVS
was a horror film compared to this.
But it was also like, well, BVS is funnier than we tend to remember too. Like, we were laughing at shit when we were watching it.
It has those moments too, yeah.
There was definitely some really good humor here, and the theatrical version just butchered all of that humor that was there.
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of the humor was Eisenberg, frankly.
Oh, and BVS, yeah. I was like, he's barely in this movie, man. What you know?
Although, speaking of him really quickly, if we're getting into just the end of it, did you notice a movement and God, I feel like I've already said this somewhere, but there's this moment where he brings Deathstroke on board.
Yeah.
And a wonderful scene. And Deathstroke, like, you better not be wasting my time. Oh, I wouldn't dream of it. All that. And he kind of explains, like, well, I have something better to offer, and also I wouldn't dream of that, and I wouldn't waste my time. And there's this moment, like, this like micro expression of disgust on his face. Do you see that, where like his cheek line drops for a second? Just an absolute like that is a level of acting that I man, the fact that he doesn't get credit for that scene alone is incredible to me.
And he wasn't all quirky and twerky either, and they called it out like Deathstroke.
Luthor.
Yeah, that was straight Luthor, and Deathstroke says, I heard you're a little off or whatever he said, and he was like, oh no, the doctors at Arkham helped me with that.
Yeah, they straightened me out.
Like,
we're good.
Man, I want that Batfleck movie.
I know, I get it. It just that moment where his cheek drops fucking flattens me every fucking time. It is such a subtle and it's an incredible piece of acting.
Yeah, man. Just all of it.
And on top of that, Manganiello's. You know what? That's a good call. But I'm gonna have that drink after all. It's a good scene. It's a good scene.
It is.
Really good scene.
And I loved all the Nightmare stuff. I'm still not 100% on Leto's Joker, but I still want more. Like, I feel like every time we get him, we don't get enough to like get a feel for him. Because he did like 3 different voices in the scene that he was in.
Oh, I know, but I think that's part of the fun.
Oh, it is part of the fun. It's definitely what he's going for. He's just...
And I think he does an incredible job with that. Like, like that laugh is... It feels so weird that it doesn't feel put on, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's so odd that only a person who actually meant that laugh could possibly have done it in a real life situation. I
think, oddly enough, or not even really oddly, it just, I wouldn't have thought, maybe ironically, my inability to grasp onto Leto as Joker might be the point. Maybe that's what Joker should have been the whole time.
Oh, there's an argument for that for sure.
Oh, I know there is. He changes his personality in the books.
Multiple choice.
Like, his backstory, his personality. So I don't know, man. I'm down. I want more. Man, hell, I'm even down for Amber Heard coming back as Mira. And oh my God, did you see what Ed Boon tweeted? Ed Boon is the guy that created Mortal Kombat.
I remember that.
He tweeted out, can we get Zack Snyder's Injustice?
I did see that, actually.
I want that right now. Can part 2 be called Zack Snyder's Injustice? Please, please, please. Because that's what the movie would be.
Yeah.
That's what the movie is.
Yeah.
We've got a dead Green Lantern on the Hall of Justice. We've got we saw a shot of Darkseid standing in the Batcave, putting his hand on freaking Superman's shoulder after he has zapped Lois to dust.
Yeah.
Like Superman succumbing to the anti-life equation. We see Superman, that shot that we see in the trailers of the Hall of Justice, what we didn't see, what they didn't show us, was Superman flying above it with holding freaking Batman's mantle in his hand.
Yep.
Like his cloak or whatever, his mask or whatever.
The cowl.
Cowl. That's what I was looking for. There was so much in those flashes with Darkseid fighting and Omega beaming and...
Oh, the last 20 minutes beg for another chapter of some kind. Man. And I want a few things. I want Zack Snyder involved heavily. Ed Boon involved. That would be fantastic as well.
He can be. I mean...
I want Tom Taylor heavily involved.
Oh.
As much involved as I can possibly muster him being. Like... Those two need to get together for an Injustice thing, and that would lead to a Dark World kind of thing that I feel like all 3 of those people would be absolutely suited for. It'd be a dream, nightmare, whatever.
Yeah. So if you guys are following me on Twitter at David C. Robertson, you're going to be seeing a lot of hashtag restore the Snyderverse. And honestly, look, man, I know we've given a lot of shit for this thing on, not for this thing, for Rotten Tomatoes, but I think it's like something like 78% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, still
it's still like 96% on the audience rating on,
that's
on that
exactly
site.
my problem. Yeah, go fuck them.
Exactly. But what I'm saying though is it's getting really good critical reception. I have seen a ton of people who don't like Zack Snyder who are going, "Oh, I was wrong. Zack Snyder's got a plan, and this shit is awesome."
And this was pretty solid. Sorry.
I'm seeing a ton of people who have not previously liked him come out and say, we owe him an apology. Same thing that happened with Ultimate Edition. It's just like the dude's steadily picking up more and more, if not fans, then people who are willing to respect him and say like, okay, we are not a piece of shit.
Yeah. No, I mean, fact is Warner Brothers fucked him.
Yes.
And in all fairness, they were timid. It wasn't malicious. They were just dumb. They made some bad decisions. They had a thing in their grasp, and they could have really taken it to the fucking nth level, but they just didn't know how. And they were super ignorant about what the fans were expecting. I don't feel like they had a good register, a good barometer of where the fans were at. So what we ended up with was some mitigated version of his vision.
Mm-hmm.
And what they signed on for was, I think this guy can take it to the next level. And man, if you had just buckled down and let him do his thing, this would be an entirely different conversation. We'd be talking about other movies coming out in 2021 and frankly 2024 that reflected parts of what was going to be happening in that universe. And instead, we're having whole conversations about, what can Machete's Flash fix?
Well, I'll tell you this, Billy Crudup's not going to play the dad now. He's gone.
I know.
They're going to recast.
I know.
I think it's a huge mistake. Huge. Put it off. Bring that guy back.
Nah, he's probably out for his own reasons.
Oh, no, he just had a scheduling conflict. That's what it was. I'm serious. That's what they
I'm sure. I'm sure it was not like a giant slight. Just couldn't be there.
Yeah, so I mean that's what I'm saying. Like, can we hold off and just see what we can do?
No, but of all things, if Flash's parents aren't cast the same, I feel like that fits pretty squarely into a Flash movie and how we can kind of bring some universes together.
Yep, I mean, we can do.
Crudup was probably there because Zack Snyder called him to begin with.
Yep.
I mean, shit.
That's right. But Kiersey Clemons is coming back as Iris, so.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Oh, by the way, that scene with her.
Yep.
Jesus. Fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So good. I'm just going to go through the list of things I loved about that scene. The nervousness of Barry Allen the entire time. By the way, the entire movie. I loved how much that dude was still funny without any intervention from Whedon. Funnier even, frankly. And one of my favorite parts of that scene is when he turns and his shoes just go away.
They just shred.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Like Speed Force just, nope.
And I loved him, as funny as he was, I loved throughout when he keeps getting shot by parademons and like,
oh, I need a minute.
Dude, he sold me on his pain.
Yep, he did.
Come on, heal.
Well, all right. So one thing is he sold me on the pain and he keeps getting shot and he's still the least experienced of the group. Well, I say that. Cyborg's pretty inexperienced, but yeah, it's a guy who's done a lot of physical things in his life. Like they literally give him this entire, by the way, super badass shot of him doing like a 20-yard line run. A lot of fun. And I watched it twice, and I was trying to think of someone who's watched a pretty good amount of football.
Right.
And tried to think of why that seemed crazy, and it just didn't. It looked like fucking Cam Newton or Deshaun Watson or somebody just tearing through some motherfuckers.
Yeah, like if they could just like shoot football games.
Yeah.
And then play them after the fact, having been
like roughly like that, you'd be a football fan.
Having been shot by like Larry Fong or Fabian Wagner, and edited by Zack Snyder, I'm in.
You might be in.
I'm in.
There's no fucking way. The closest you've ever gotten to being in is when I would like periodically just like grab you and be like, "Hey, listen, I heard a weird story about a guy," and try to explain like because there are stories for like everybody's got a narrative, you know?
Yeah,
and they. A lot of football people do too. So I would just kind of explain, hey, this football player has this narrative going on. And for, I don't know, like 4 or 5 minutes, you were interested. And then you'd be like, so what's the conclusion? I'm like, I don't know. They play this Saturday. Oh, okay, go. I'm done.
Yeah.
Also
I
fair.
mean, Great Injustice intrigues me as well. Like, I remember like kind of traipsing through and a referee made a bad call. And I was like, that was bullshit. That was bullshit. And you were like, yeah, I know.
There's that.
And I was like, yeah, well, I'm going to go get some milk. Forget about this.
Bring me half a gallon as well, my good sir. So we also had, all right. So the other thing with Barry and that scene was, first of all, the shoes coming off. Fan-fucking-tastic. Second, ripping the pavement with his feet. Fucking, that was a nice touch.
Yep.
Third, this may be my favorite point in how they treated the Flash. And I don't feel like in 2017 they did anything close to that. Like, the closest thing they did in 2017 was the moment where he touches the sword for Wonder Woman. And
love that was still there.
It was still there. Like, again, to my point, all of the really cool moments in 2017 where you're like, man, I don't know if I like this movie, or I know there was a bunch of bullshit going on, but man, I like this scene. Yeah, they were Snyder's fucking scenes.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things is when he's pulling Iris down. Like,
he's so gentle.
He's so fucking gentle. Like, he treats her like porcelain,
like a lady, man.
On steroids. Yeah. I mean, but with that speed, you would have to. Like, if you so much as like tap the side of her head too hard, it would crush her brain. It would literally like bounce inside her skull. She'd be done.
Yep.
But he puts her down like like not even porcelain. What's that shit? The Fabergé egg kind of thing. Yeah, like Fabergé egg. Like that's how he treats her. Yeah, I loved that aspect of it. Not to mention, I also loved the fact that he like is back in the pet shop afterward. And by the way, breaking the glass, that's also really fucking cool by itself. And then back in the pet shop with the hot dog that he pulls out of the air because he has time.
Yeah.
And comes back. Yeah, it's important to have meat snacks because you never know what's going to happen in the city.
Yep. I love that. Like, because I didn't even think about it.
I enjoyed it.
It was just such a quirky thing. He's like, oh, here's a hot dog in slow motion. And he grins really big and plucks the hot dog from the air and sticks it in his pocket. I'm like, what a weird thing to do. And then like, it makes sense. Like, oh, he had a plan. He was going to get that job by like getting the.
He's got to explain this shit. And he sees the hot dog in the air and was like, explanation taken care of. Got it.
Yeah.
Got this sorted.
Yeah, man, this is a fantastic movie. This is really good. Like, there were a couple of moments where the CGI, stood out as CGI. And
a little bit. I feel like if they had more time.
Yeah, it was.
They probably wouldn't have even.
Oh, damn. That's not good.
A little bit sometimes in the Amazon thing.
The Manhunter at the end was a little rough. He looked a little rough at times.
I can see that. Also, fucking the Manhunter at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, as a scene, that is fucking incredible.
And that was originally conceived as a shot with lanterns.
Oh,
Zack
I can see that.
Lanterns there.
No, that would track.
Yeah, but, and WB told him, no, we're doing something with Jon Stewart. Like, he wanted Jon Stewart and Kilowog.
Yep. No, I liked it. I liked the idea that Bruce Wayne just wakes up one day and is like, okay, so that's a thing. Cool.
Here's what I liked about that.
We're good, right? Like, call you later? All right. I'm going to go back to bed for like 30.
Yeah, I didn't
Peace.
Bemoan the questionable CGI on Manhunter. I was like, well, whatever. It looks a little rough, but whatever. Mm-hmm. They didn't have all the time in the world to do this. But, I saw some people bemoaning the fact that Ben Affleck was so much thinner in that scene, like very visibly thinner. And yeah, when he was brought in to film that, it was in the last few months. And I don't know if you've seen Ben Affleck, but he is really, really, really thin right now.
Yeah.
For some role or something. But
I saw it too, and honestly, I just thought, well, he looks healthier than when he was in AA. So
that's kind of my point. Is that's what I like about this is that BVS Batman, he was drinking tons of wine, and he was a thicker bat, dude. He was thick, and Alfred, he would talk about like if there's any wine left for a future generation, or I guess we won't have a future generation either.
No, I think it worked for the character.
Yeah, I like the idea that he looks thinner and he is he's reinvigorated. It looks like he's healthier. It looks like he's got more fight in him. It looks like he's got years yet. Yeah.
He's got another 10 years. He could have another Robin at that rate.
Yeah. So I'm down with it. I think it was serendipitous that he appeared to be in better shape.
Even. I was kind of happy for him. He looked pretty good. Like, I just thought, hey, this is a guy who's got a little bit more control over his life right now. I'm good with it.
Yeah. And this is a guy who, he's getting nightmares. He's getting, visions. He already thinks they're visions. He thinks that they're
he went into that with Diana earlier in the film.
So, of course, he's going to stop drinking and he's going to start getting his shit together because there's a war coming.
Yeah, you either have to stop or start drinking at that point. Man, I'm having premonitions at night about a universe where I've recruited Joker. So either I'm going to drink roughly a handle of whiskey a day or the opposite.
Man, I loved everything with Joker talking about freaking Dead Robin. I loved everything. Oh my God.
Their standoff was fantastic.
Batman talking about Dead Harley Quinn.
Oh God. That was fantastic. Like the idea that at some point Batman is going to actually kill him. And that on top of that, they're on the same page right now, but Joker thinks that's how it should go.
Yeah.
And it's just rolling with it. And then later, Superman apparently shows up and, fucking amazing. Fucking loved it. There are going to be a lot of people that have a problem with Joker's portrayal, Leto's portrayal of Joker in general. But fucking, it's new, it's weird, and fucking, if you didn't think... All right, here's my favorite version of this. Your problem with the Joker is that he did something you didn't expect? The fuck?
It's a valid point.
It's kind of his thing.
That's a valid point. What else? Do you have anything else? Or
I'm sure I do. It's 4 hours. I watched it twice yesterday. I basically spent an entire office day watching this film while I literally called in to... I didn't call in. I planned a day off at my office.
Yeah.
And said I will not be here on the 18th. Here's why. And in all fairness, I had people at the office like, how is it? I'm like, it's great. You should do this yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, you should. Lord. Do you have HBO Max? No? You should get HBO Max. First of all, it's going to be a really fun year for you in 2021. Second, this fucking movie. Also first, this fucking movie. And third, they have the entire Looney Tunes back catalog, right?
Oh, do they?
Yes, the entire fucking thing. To the black and whites.
Even the racist stuff?
I think they excluded the racist stuff.
Dude, Darkseid was badass.
Darkseid's badass. I love how low his arms are. Is that a weird thing?
No, it's fine.
I kind of love the build of his upper body.
Yeah.
I regret that there wasn't Granny Goodness for the first time in my life.
We saw her.
We saw her, but that was all we saw.
Yeah.
And this is the only time I've thought, hey, could have done with more of that.
Yeah, I loved Steppenwolf saying multiverse to Decide or Darkseid or whoever it was. I think it was Darkseid, but I loved that. I loved everything. I really did. I enjoyed the shit out of myself watching this movie. Like when I started watching
the entire time, a little bit of tears, frankly.
Well, the tears I had were because I was exhausted. Like my eyes were burning because they were still open.
Yeah.
But then, about the thing was I was really sleepy, and about an hour before the movie actually came out, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. And then I got, settled in and watched the rest of the last blockbuster. And then I was like, I'm not going to be able to sleep though with this lingering. Mm-hmm. And I started watching it, and I was wide awake for about 2.5, 3 hours. And then I noticed oh my God, I'm falling asleep. My eyes are just my body is literally shutting down on me. And then I had to pause the movie and go, what's wrong? I'm sleepy. That's not happening. Mm-hmm. I'm very hungry, and I haven't had caffeine in 2 or 3 hours at least. So, all right, I'm going to need a sandwich, some chips, a brownie, and a soda.
The basics.
Yeah. Get me some turkey, just a shit ton of turkey on some relatively low carb bread. A little bag of Cheetos.
Yeah.
And some caffeine, and we'll be good to go. Not even a real soda, diet soda. Okay, let's get this rolling again. And that's all it took. I was I got half a sandwich in me. I was all right, I'm all right. I'm all right.
Back.
I got this hour back in me. And then luckily that last hour is pretty much just ball busting action and very interesting shit going down. So, to me, it's harder to keep awake during exposition-y stuff or quiet character building, which I normally love in a movie, but that late when I'm trying not to pass out, it's not the best. But yeah,
it's the kind of thing where I cannot imagine having seen this in a theater. I would have missed swaths of the movie.
Yeah, I had to pause 3 times to piss.
Yeah,
at least.
There's just no way. And I was at home. And by the way, I'm deeply in love with the idea of watching these kinds of things at home now. Having seen a major one and experiencing it myself. Dear God, this is how I want things to be now.
Mm-hmm.
So, that being said, I would go back to a theater for sure, but I don't know. I cannot even fathom how they would have treated a 4-hour movie. There's no way they're going to give you an intermission. Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, if we're to believe Zack, it will eventually be in theaters, and it will have a 10-minute intermission with music from Chunky XL.
Yes, and I get that. And I will probably not go.
Well, yeah, me either. But, or maybe I will. I don't know. Look, the thing is if we're going to do theaters again, I would like for the U.S. to understand that, theater going should be an experience. Over in Japan, the theaters, they have shops with merch for the movies that are currently out.
Mm-hmm.
It very much is.
You can get that, 2 years ago at a theater, but you have to be the first 20 people that show up, and the shirt size has to miraculously match.
That sucks.
They just have one legal box full of t-shirts.
My sister-in-law lives in Japan. She sends us cool one-sheet posters and shit from their... This don't even really cost anything. They're just cool. They're just cool shit that she just picks up, gets a bunch of, and sends us.
Mm-hmm.
We've got so many Japanese Marvel one-sheet 8x10 posters in the Marvel room that are on the wall. They just look dope. I've got a few here, Joker and Aquaman, and freaking a pamphlet from Japan that's Batman v Superman. And they have really cool merch. I don't understand. Theaters are talking about oh, we're dying. Yeah. Because you're not cool. You don't do anything interesting.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to just be well, I got to go to Walmart to hope that they have a Flash shirt. I should be able to go to the theater and say here are exclusive, Funkos and shirts and posters.
Yeah. Or even go to DCComics.com shop and find kind of poorly printed shirts for even this venture.
Yeah. Do you want to do feedback? You want to do the feedback?
Yeah, shoot.
Got a little bit of feedback.
Let's do it.
All right. Matthew Salvatore over on Twitter says, wouldn't Darkseid know that the world where he lost the mother boxes was the same world that had anti-life? I'm confused by this.
I would say he lost the mother boxes.
Well, I think he lost the mother boxes.
It would be like losing your planner.
Look, man, this is a situation where Darkseid was not like the ruler at this point. Darkseid was Steppenwolf in this case. He was like, young, dumb, full of cum. He was just running around fighting folk. And, he came upon a planet that he was not expecting to be guarded by heroes. And it was guarded heavily with, old gods and whatnot. Greek gods, I should say.
He's a fourth god, and he came across, second gods? I'm confused about where Zeus would be in the canon of the DC universe as far as the numbering
There's
of the
an
gods,
explanation, but it's complicated. It's like source wall emanates, and then it shoots back, and whatever.
All that. But but he ran across other gods.
Right. He'd run, but he had never been defeated. We
Zeus
get the impression.
and Darkseid would have had a battle. And apparently Zeus and Ares, which, by the way, was... I didn't give enough credence to this point. The idea that Zeus and Ares were working on the same team for a second, and that even in the exposition part of this, where Diana was explaining it all to Bruce, she makes a note that they were on the same team for a second. That's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yep. The god of gods and the god of war decided to put things aside for a second because there was some shit on the horizon.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Enemy of my enemy.
Yeah. Hands him his fucking ram helmet or whatever the hell it's called.
That was dope.
Yeah, wasn't it?
That was dope. Yeah, so...
yeah, bottom line, I don't know exactly why he didn't recognize it, except that...
There are thousands of worlds. He may have just not known the location. He got cut off from the boom tube. Maybe he's been searching forever for this world.
He tells Steppenwolf, you've got a 50,000 world comeuppance. And, he says he's, turned 100,000 worlds to dust. I feel like they're just rounding these figures off, that they're just not special to them. I feel like the fact that it was Earth wasn't special, other than the fact that he lost.
Yeah, I don't think he was just either turning worlds upside down trying to find that equation again, which clearly Steppenwolf saw it and was like, oh shit, this is the one.
Yeah. Also, alternative theory, he lost a lot of blood. He might just not have been on top of his cognitive faculties.
Look, you're not going to remember necessarily. If you're not...
Ares got an artery. Let's be sure about that.
Yeah. He was pre-Darkseid, so, he probably hadn't had his mother killed yet. He may not have taken the throne and all that shit, and he certainly hadn't called himself Darkseid yet.
Yeah. The Highfather was still in place when all this was happening.
Highfather's from New Genesis, so he would be.
I know. He hadn't usurped anyone yet.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're saying. So, yeah, I'm just saying, he probably was just... Or there's even a possibility that he didn't know what it was that he saw until later, and he went, oh, that was probably the anti-life equation.
Yeah, possibility.
Who knows, man? There's not a great explanation, honestly, but other than the fact that the universe is vast. And my guess is he just had to figure out where the hell they were supposed to go. In the aftermath, he's like, did we look in the catalog what the hell that was?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we were really trying hard to get out of there because I don't know if you saw, but that one bitch had arrows that could destroy an entire ship.
Actually, that's a fun, we were just humanized theory of what might have happened. Is maybe they didn't remember the anti-life equation vaguely being scraped on the Earth because 10 minutes later they were like, oh shit, nope, the fuck out of here. Yeah. We're gone.
So,
other things became more prevalent.
Darkseid had to sit down and have a talk about how you don't call women bitches, even if they're your enemy. And, look, just because we're bad guys doesn't mean we have to act like we are.
Yeah. I mean, for just a hot second, Darkseid wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
he probably had to spend more time explaining that to his troops than he ever had time to focus on what he might have found there.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point. There's a possibility that he
He might have lost control.
Well, he might have, or he might have completely like had them scrub that mission.
I mean, they dragged him back on the ship.
Yeah, like it's so that would be so humiliating. He might have like had that mission scrubbed, and then
he
be like,
just killed everyone who had ever been there.
Shit. Yeah, like so they didn't know, because that's the way he maintained his power and gained his power, possibly, is by like having people act like that didn't happen.
Yeah, if you're just not 100% under my wing, you die.
And then pull Steppenwolf aside and like, look, I saw this shit one time.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was.
I'm not even sure what happened. I've done a lot. I've killed a lot of parademons between now and then.
I think it was the anti-life equation.
Not even sure.
Every once in a while, go find a quarry somewhere on a world and just hit the ground with his axe. And if that shit shows up, that's what we're looking for.
Sorry, it's taken me a long time to reprogram everyone. When I started, she was called Teenager Goodness, and now she's Granny. So I mean, this is taking some time. Anyway, once upon a time, we
we used to call her Franny. Wait, never mind. Look, there's a reason she's a granny.
If I'm being
wink, wink,
if I'm being
nudge,
honest,
nudge.
Desaad was a delivery guy for Starbucks. He used to bring me a frappuccino. But long story short, he's on my side. We got him.
Right. He used to work in my garden. He used to deliver the sod. That's why I would say Desaad, Desaad. This flaming core.
Something, though. Turns out it was super cruel. Could work with that.
The flaming cores. Oh man, it's really hell in my yard. Look at this. Everything's all dried up, you know?
Yeah. Didn't even have to deal with Teenager Goodness. Teenagers are terrible. Just waited and renamed her. She good.
Now I just hear like Darkseid in my head as like a comedian. You know, he's like, I grew up on Apocalypse. I almost called myself Droughtside.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know. I'm not proud of it.
No, now that you say that, I'm imagining some bullshit stand-up fucking open mic situation where he plays a version of the Killers, like Mr. Darkseid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He pulls Joker aside one day. Look, we have more in common than you think. I, too, was a failed stand-up comedian.
Hey, Mr. Brightside. Yeah.
I never could kill.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to become a killer. If I can't win over hearts, I'll win over minds. All right. Hopefully we answered your question, Matthew, to some level of satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Even if we did, I'm sure we devolved that into some level of dissatisfaction, and we apologize.
Mm-hmm. Pud333 over on Twitter says, what was Bruce congratulating Clark on at the end of the movie? And did Snyder make a nod to a certain mind-reading conqueror? I know the answers to both. I just want to hear you to discuss it. I would assume that Bruce is congratulating Clark at the end of the movie on getting engaged.
Mm-hmm.
Since Clark was like, I'll take that as a yes, talking about Lois's ring.
Yeah, but that's like 2 hours ago in the movie.
Yeah. He may have been congratulating him on coming back to life, maybe?
Honestly, I felt like it was just like, congratulations on owning your home again.
Oh, yeah. It may have been that because he bought the bank and got the
because that line back. Stayed.
There's also the third possibility. Did you see that pregnancy test?
Mm-hmm. I did.
In Lois's drawer?
I did. I remember joking with my wife about that. It was like, hey, that drawer could have been filled with anything.
Uh-huh.
There's a pregnancy test there for a reason.
Yeah, there wasn't any, like, Snyder wasn't even being subtle with that shit.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, damn, dude. Okay. Which, you know, I know certain
he likes to tie things on, so to speak. So if the moment of conception was like the bathtub in BVS, it wouldn't surprise me.
Oh.
Not a bit.
All right. Let's see.
I think the timing will work out. I'm not sure.
Oh,
yeah, it should work out as far as the timing of, how much
possibly
theoretical time has gone by.
And did Snyder make a nod to a certain mind-reading conqueror? I'm assuming he's talking about Gorilla Grodd, with Barry saying that he reads gorilla sign language.
Oh yeah. Well, I saw the comment and I wondered if he meant Starro or Grodd, but either way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are my two guesses for what you're talking about. And yeah, hit me up if we're missing something that we should have caught.
Let's see. Stu Little says, do you think Barry and Iris's attraction is simply that, or is a hint that they may subconsciously be aware of their history in a previous timeline before Thawne meddling via the Speed Force? I mean, it's possible, but at what point does that stop? Like, they had to have been attracted to each other at some point before the time meddling began. Yeah. If every time they're attracted to each other, it was because, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's a paradox. You just leave it alone, man. Just leave it alone.
Yeah. I mean, prime numbers affect the rest of the numbers. Like, there has to be it has to matter to some extent. Some source version. Yeah,
there's some original version out there where they were together and they just kind of stumbled upon it, I guess. Right. Or this is the DC universe. Hell, maybe they were reincarnated and they were just always supposed to be together. I don't know. They are Hawkman and Hawkwoman. I don't know.
They'll both do. It'll be all right.
All right. And finally, Rob over on Twitter says, what do you think the chances are of another fan campaign working to #restore the Snyderverse and us getting a sequel, or Henry Cavill coming back as Superman? Based on how well received this has been,
yes.
I think all of it is possible and likely. I know Snyder's saying that this is the last thing he's making for them. I know he's saying that he's saying that to rally the forces. He's hoping just as hard as anybody that there's going to be more. I think if he makes more, or I think if he doesn't, if given the opportunity, Henry Cavill will be back as Superman. I think everybody will be back.
Yeah.
If Snyder is,
especially if it's under the Snyder banner, because apparently the people who work with this guy are just super enamored with him. In the little preamble to his version of the airing yesterday, he kind of talked about how he had talked to several people about how this would, how the new version would come across, and he considered them all friends. And honestly, I didn't feel like that was just weird Hollywood speak. I feel like he actually does have all their cell phone numbers, and they would tweet pictures of their kids.
Yeah.
It I don't know, man. I feel like there's a lot of potential here. Release the Snyder Cut clearly worked. I know Cavill's on board. I don't think there's anything really stopping certain things other than a couple of people in charge right now. And I don't think anything could stop the fans if they really put their heads to it right this second. #restore the fucking Snyder Cut.
That's about it, man.
Restore the Snyderverse.
Snyderverse, yeah. I think there's a very real possibility of it happening, and I'll be on Twitter calling for it myself. I mean, shit, dude. I ain't buying any T-shirts, but I pre-ordered all the Justice League figures from McFarlane.
I got a couple things, but
save for the Bruce Wayne Batman head and the Dark Side with the full armor, which you got to get in the store, or I got to find it. So
nice.
I got to find it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be pounding the Restore the Snyderverse hashtag pretty hard on Twitter myself.
I thought you were gonna say pussy.
Restore the pussy?
Restore the Snyderverse pussy.
Why?
Because you said pounding.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing people say.
That is.
Before I started hearing that, every time someone said pounding, I thought puppies. Pound puppies,
What? Okay.
I grew up in the 90s, man. What do you want? I grew up in the 90s and I had sisters. They watched Pound Puppies.
Pound Puppies makes sense now. For a second, I was very worried. Not that I've ever worried about your treatment of animals in any capacity.
or pussies.
I was, or that, but I was confused. I was just confused. But no, bottom line is going to be there's going to be a lot of like restore the Snyderverse out of me going forward for a minute. See where it goes.
This is by far the most ambitious DC thing I've ever seen. By far. No contest.
No, hold on.
You talking about Crisis?
Yes. I think they're both ambitious in different ways.
Yeah.
And I mean, directorially and producer-wise, they are both achievements.
Right? I agree with that.
They are, fucking Guggenheim deserves his own Mount Rushmore for what he pulled off. And Snyder for hanging in there and keeping his head up the entire time and making this happen. That it's all extremely impressive. I'm deeply enamored with both of their resolve and just frankly what they pulled off, man. I mean, it was a confluence of circumstances for both, but shit, hell of achievements.
Yeah. I don't know how they haven't. I mean, oh my God. I just want the rest. I want the rest. and it's what I said was going to happen, and it's happened. I want the rest. Like there shall be no peace.
At 3 hours and 30 of this movie, you were probably thinking like, man, that's a really good conclusion to this movie. And for the next 30 minutes, you were thinking, where the fuck is part 2 of this movie?
Yeah. Like I need more. I need it in my soul.
Yeah.
I need to have this finished and this achievement unlocked.
I think this will answer. Yeah, it's hard to say. I think a little bit of this having been released answers some of the questions about like what the Flash movie has to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like what's on Machete's plate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot.
It's a lot.
There's some serious expectations on you at this moment.
It's a lot.
This motherfucker just like reversed Darkseid's appearance. You can't tell me it's not an extremely important character and one who has a ton of fucking heart. Like it is. There's a lot to be done there. So, and on top of that, he's also the key to, I don't know, fucking unleashing the rest of the universe. And by the way, he's the same one who appeared on the fucking CW.
Yep.
Like there's a lot going on with this.
And here's another thing.
If Muschietti hadn't slept in 4.5 weeks, I'd be like, dude, I understand. Can I come rub your head for a little while?
Yeah. Another thing though.
Just nothing sexual here. I'm just gonna rub your shoulders a little bit. Just try to relax you. Just try to relax you.
The $1 billion Aquaman.
Just scratch the back of the head.
The $1 billion Aquaman is now really, no doubt about it, not canon with the Snyder cut. It's new DCEU. It's post Snyder DCEU, because Mira says she grew up with Atlanta. Like she was taken in by Atlanta because her parents, plural, are dead. And also, man, that accent is not what she did in Aquaman.
Oh, the accent's way off.
Way different.
I felt like I'm trying to remember. I felt like I had an out for that when I was watching the first time.
That she was just putting on like an affectation.
No, not the accent. Because I mean the Atlanta part.
Oh, I don't know.
I felt like I had an out, but I can't remember right now. Yeah, it could be off.
Yeah, I don't see how it lines up. It's just it's got to be a different universe. It just has to be. And to be fair, that's what Snyder said.
Alone is a little bit problematic.
Yep. Like I said, Snyder has said that. He was like, yeah, my stuff is different from theirs.
Yeah. He did that with Aquaman and Wonder Woman, and kind of I don't know if he's said anything about Shazam that I recall.
I don't know, but I'll tell you this: if they do the next movie, I want to see Nightmare Shazam. I want to see freaking Black Canary. I want to see Journey Smollett as Black Canary.
Mm-hmm.
We think that she's doing something because she's been posting stuff on Instagram with freaking Black Canary shit.
Yeah, she's been
hinting heavily that something is happening.
Tearing through the graphic novels and DVDs.
Dude, like I would love to see like Nightmare sequence or like Nightmare movie that had the freaking Birds of Prey. Just like they don't have to follow the canon, just Snyder giving his blessing to it by bringing in those actors. and those characters. Like, that would be dope, man. Dope. I love that shit. Love it. I would just eat it up, man. I want to see Shazam. I want to see like the Shazam family. I want them to be like, Captain Thunder or whatever, like merged together in the Nightmare timeline. Like, oh my God, yes, please. All the things, put them in my head, right through my eye and ear holes.
No, I mean, I would be extremely happy with just a little bit of reciprocation about the television universe and CW.
Yes, I'd like that.
A little bit of that, just to have some back and forth. And some of the crazier things, like I feel like the movies would. I feel like Doom Patrol would fit really well with a cameo in there.
Mm-hmm.
They just.
Well, I mean, the most important thing is I want Zack to tell whatever story he wants to tell and do whatever he wants to do. All that shit can go in the Flash movie.
Oh no, I'm talking about the Flash movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would like a little bit of back and forth. Maybe, like I said, if I had to pick something out of the scrum to grab and throw on screen, Doom Patrol would be my go-to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I mean,
not enough people say scrum these days.
Scrum is a rugby term for when everyone goes into a pile, or a football term when everyone goes into a pile, trying to grab the same ball.
Mm-hmm.
It's just dog pile with a ball involved.
Yeah, I'm just saying, not enough people use it. I like it. I like the word.
It's a fun word.
It's got that hard C.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see it. Doesn't it? All right, to me, if the Flash did some stuff, it doesn't have to be everything. You could just
doesn't it now?
Some keynotes. No, you could just hit some key points and be okay. Like you hit the TV universe. You hit maybe the what used to be the DC universe. You hit those two, maybe that takes care of a lot of what was on either television or streaming. Let's maybe scoot over for a second and you shoot into like this version of Justice League, and God help you, like go into you can actually get into the other movies at that point. Like, yeah, there are some discrepancies between the Wonder Woman universe, Aquaman, and, well, I say Shazam. I'm not sure there are discrepancies in the timeline of Shazam, but probably, if I thought too hard about it.
I don't think there are. Like, Shazam...
Nothing stands out.
Yeah, nothing goes out of it. They kind of go out of their way to be, like, in sync with BVS and Man of Steel.
Yeah.
But, I don't know what I was going to say. My brain just went away.
Point being, if you could just sample like half a dozen things in that movie, and I would be beside myself with joy. I mean, if it was a theater experience, I would leave just with the serotonin high that would worry me for the rest of my life that I may never get to that point again. At home, same thing, but I would be able to pee more often.
Yeah, I would say the first Wonder Woman is still Snyder canon.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, he wrote the story for it.
Yeah.
So Wonder Woman 84, I don't even accept it as any canon. I just ignore it.
Well, even the first one has like the thing about 100 years, and even that you can say like, yeah, I mean, okay, but maybe she just exaggerated the phrase for a second. Mm-hmm. That'd be okay. Like maybe it wasn't exactly 100 years.
Yeah.
Just a lot of years. That'd be all right.
Anyway, I think we should wrap it. What do you think, man?
Yep, let's bounce.
All right, man. Thank you guys.
Left we can go back for.
Oh man, we'll be eating good for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've only seen it once myself, so
I'm 2 in and pretty happy.
Good.
Pretty fucking happy.
I'm pretty ecstatic. I want to thank everyone listening to this show. Thank you for listening to us sing this movie's praises, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. And I hope you continue to you out there continue to send us your thoughts and questions about it, and we're gonna get back to the same old grind that we're used to. We talk about whatever news is coming out, and we'll keep you updated as far as what I'm hoping will be called Zack Snyder's Injustice.
Mm-hmm.
God, that would be so dope.
Consulted by Tom Taylor. I insist that should be a thing. And I will not be begged off of that point.
We'll talk about all the other things in the multiverse as well, so I've got some CW catching up to do. I've got, we've got Stargirl coming soon, as I choke because it's a Jeff Johns thing.
I'll give a major exception because of the background of that particular property.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's DC. We're going to talk about it, even if we think Jeff Johns is a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Well, I'll bring his mother into it. He's just an asshole. How about that?
Fair enough.
We don't know that his mother had anything to do with it.
No.
But,
she remains unscathed as far as we know.
Until next time, keep some DC on your screen. We love you.
Restore the Snyderverse.
Jason has undulating No, stop. We're not doing that.
That's
Sorry.
not right. That's not right at all.
Our intro music is by Jason Goss and Michael Shackelford. Michael's band, Galactic Engineers of Magnetic Sounds, or GEMS, can be found on SoundCloud and Bandcamp. Visit DCOnScreen.com to find our Patreon, merch, contact information, and every episode of the show for free, including crossovers we've done with other podcasts. DC On Screen is a maladjusted production. For more from me and Jason, including sketch comedy, vlogs, parodies, and our improvised web series Hey Guy, visit maladjusted.tv.